This is the man who crushed Josh Allen's Super Bowl dreams year after year after year. And at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake that costed Josh Allen and the Bills their entire season. But the craziest part is, it wasn't entirely their fault. It's 4th and 5, and if the Bills don't convert this, their season is over. The Chiefs have 6 men up on the line of scrimmage who all look like they're about to rush up the field. But because the Bills are in this empty set, it means they're only going to have the 5 offensive linemen to protect. And no matter who these 5 guys choose to block, somebody's going to come through free. But this is where the Kansas City Chiefs made one of the craziest play calls that I've ever seen. As soon as the ball is snapped, the Chiefs' best coverage guy comes on a cornerback blitz. Meanwhile, 2 of these pass rushers are dropping back into pass coverage. So now, even though the Chiefs are rushing 5 guys versus the Bills' 5 linemen, because they were blitzing from a place where the Bills weren't expecting, the Chiefs ended up with 3 players that realistically could have got a sack on Josh Allen. Now, even though Josh Allen had a wide open receiver downfield, and he somehow was still able to get this throw off despite a guy being all the way up in his face, the pressure was just too much for him to handle. This ball falls incomplete, and that means that the Chiefs have now beat Josh Allen 4 times in the playoffs. I found 8 of the most mind-blowing plays that show why the Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo is the most overpowered coach in the NFL. And on the last play, I'm gonna show you how he literally won the Chiefs a Super Bowl by using all 3 of these play calling tactics in the same play. It's 3rd and 11 and the game is on the line. And right before the ball is snapped, number 21 starts creeping up to the line of scrimmage. But the Texans center is locked in. He points him out instantly and says, "Hey, alert number 21, he's about to blitz." The Texans just checked into a 3-man slide protection. And all that means that these 3 linemen are responsible for these 3 potential rushers, whereas these 2 on the right side are responsible for these 3 guys, but the running back has to pick up whoever's left. But all of a sudden, the ball is snapped, and the dude who the center pointed to didn't even rush up the field. And now 54 and 53 over here holding hands blocking nobody. Meanwhile, CJ Stroud just got sacked, and now my boy's hitting the Houston Texans celly versus the Houston Texans. That wins the game for the Kansas City Chiefs. So what the heck happened? Coach Spags put the extra blitzer in a DB stance because he knew the Texans O-line would forget to count him by hiding him in plain sight. But this turned into an instant advantage for the Kansas City Chiefs because they have 4 guys rushing the quarterback on the right side of the field, and there's only 3 guys to block him. And it's plays like this why people consider Coach Spags to be the greatest defensive coordinator in the league. But at the end of this video, I'm going to show you the biggest mistake that all of these offensive coordinators are making versus Coach Spags. Typically, when the defense rushes 5 players, you would expect for somebody to have to win a one-on-one in order to get to the quarterback. But when Coach Spags rushes 5 players, there's a very real chance that somebody could come through untouched. Let's check out this play from Week 7 versus the 49ers. The Chiefs have 5 men up on the line of scrimmage that all look like they're about to rush. So the ball is snapped, and Brock Purdy sees a D lineman dropping into coverage. So he's thinking that he has a little bit of time to sit back there in the pocket, because even if the Chiefs bring an extra linebacker, they're still going to have 5 linemen to block the 5 rushers. So he should be cool. But right after the ball is snapped, Brock Purdy starts to feel pressure coming from his left side. This means that the 49ers are going to have to play hot. Now, the hot read means that the quarterback has to get the ball out of his hands fast. But if the defense is using an extra person to rush the quarterback, that means that the offense and the receivers should have an extra guy to beat the coverage downfield. So Brock Purdy feels the pressure and he looks to his first read in the progression, number 44. But the defensive lineman who dropped at the start of the play is covering the hot read. So you see Brock Purdy try to step up in the pocket and deliver the ball to his guy. But even with the linebacker missing and not getting a clean hit on Brock Purdy the first time, the 49ers still don't have enough time to be able to get the ball to the hot read. Coach Spags is able to consistently trick some of the best offensive lines in the league, and he tricks them into blocking guys who aren't even rushing up the field. But this next play is one of the craziest things I've ever seen through all of my football career. Let's take a trip to Week 10 where the Broncos played the Kansas City Chiefs. Coach Spags loves to press his corners. Through Week 16 of the 2024 season, Chiefs had both corners pressed on 51% of their snaps. And the next closest team was the Seahawks at 29%. So the question is, why does he do this so much? Now, yes, of course he believes in his corners and wants them to be able to press because he has playmakers in the perimeter. But he also does it for another reason that you wouldn't expect at a first glance. But more importantly, the offenses don't expect it either. Literally moments before the ball is snapped, the whole defense starts giving this signal at the same time. It's clear that they've called some kind of audible based off of the Broncos formation. Now, this is an impressive feat on its own because if one person doesn't hear the signal, it could result in a massive hole in the defense. But as soon as the ball is snapped, both corners start rushing up the field and a defensive lineman drops back into coverage. Now, even though the Chiefs only rushed 5 defenders, Because the pressure came from places where the Broncos weren't expecting, the Chiefs were able to get a guy through even though the Broncos had an extra guy in protection. Because of Coach Spags' ability to blitz from unexpected positions, they're able to cause some serious headaches for opposing offenses. But this next part are some of the most impressive mind games that I've ever seen. Now, Deshaun Watson is under center, and he sees two high safeties that are both playing pretty deep. But then right as the ball is snapped, these two safeties start to rotate and spin their coverage. Now, disguising the coverage is not anything new, especially in the NFL. A lot of teams will do this so that way the quarterback has to recalculate the defense after the ball has been snapped. So he snaps the ball, goes to hand the play action, and as soon as he turns back around, he sees that his receiver has leverage on a deep player down the field. And if the Chiefs were in a 2 high safety picture to start the play, they're probably in a 1 high safety now. So Deshaun Watson's thinking all I have to do is throw the ball away from that 1 high safety, and my boy should be able to run under it, catch a tut easy. At the worst, it should at least be a 50-50 ball where Elijah Moore has a shot to jump up and moss the safety to make a play. But then as the ball's in the air, another Chiefs safety magically spawned out of nowhere and intercepted this ball. Honestly, I don't even blame Deshaun Watson for this one, because safety rotation is one of the biggest indicators that the coverage just changed. Except he forgot he was playing the most innovative defensive coach in the league. The Chiefs rotated their safety so far that they went from a 2 high coverage to a 1 high and back to a 2 high coverage again. Coach Spags rotated their safety so far that in reality they didn't even have to rotate at all. But check out this play versus the Texans. Now this is a cover 2 man defense, meaning that there's going to be 2 deep safeties and everyone else is going to be man-to-man guarding a guy. But as the ball is snapped, these 2 high safeties switch places with each other. Now this coverage could have easily been played with both safeties staying to their own half of the field. And if anything, that's probably preferable because it's less running and they're going to be able to keep better eyes on who they're guarding. But by telling these safeties to run this crossing action and guard the side that's further away from them, you can bait the quarterback into thinking that the coverage changed when in reality the coverage stayed the same the whole time. The Chiefs' ability to disguise the coverage is the second reason why Coach Spags is such an insanely overpowered coach. So far, this defense is locking up everybody, and it's been like this all year. Let's check out this play versus the Cowboys. Now, pre-snap, this play looks like a cover 1. All this means is that everyone's going to be playing man-to-man with 1 high safety over the top. Now, you might be thinking, Caleb, why would you think that? There's obviously 2 deep safeties on the field right now. Because of this left safety's open hip and how he's standing with his hips open, inching to the post right before the ball is snapped, it looks like he's going to spin to the post, and plus this other high safety is standing right over CeeDee Lamb. So even if this rat defender were to blitz up the field, it would still be 5 rushers versus the 5 O-linemen. It should be a piece of cake to block this up. But if you've learned anything so far, that's not what's about to happen. At the very last moment, this nickel defender blitzes off the edge. And the high safety goes from rolling to the post to flipping his hips and playing man-to-man on this wide tight end. And now all of a sudden, instead of there being 5 rushers, there were 7 guys coming straight at the quarterback. So now Dak Prescott is sped up and he has to get the ball out quick or else he's going to take a sack. And in doing so, he throws the ball up and he's lucky this ball didn't get picked off. On this play, Coach Spags used 2 layers of thinking. He showed just enough to get the quarterback to be convinced that they were going to roll to a cover 1, when in reality, that's not what was happening at all. I mean, what is the quarterback supposed to say here? Well, it looks like they're going to rotate to a 1 high safety, but I'm playing Coach Spags, so I'm just going to assume that it's an all-out blitz. No, man, nobody's going to think of that. Nobody's thinking of that. Coach Spags' defense in their pre-snaps alignment is the 3rd reason why their defense is so overpowered. And now let's take a trip to Super Bowl 58, where the Chiefs literally won the game by using all 3 of Coach Spags' play calling techniques. So they motion Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, and as soon as he gets set, this defender steps up like he's about to press Christian McCaffrey. And this puts George Kittle on super high alert for pressure on the right side. And because of how these 2 defenders are stacked over the top of each other, George Kittle's expecting to see the same blitz that we just saw versus the Cowboys. And as soon as this ball snapped, you can see George Kittle turning his body to the right, expecting for somebody to come at him from that side. But then just 1 moment later, Brock Purdy feels pressure coming from his left side. The Chiefs had an unexpected blitzer in McDuffie coming off the left side. They disguised the coverage by dropping this left side safety into a man-to-man technique on Brandon Ayuk. And they played with their pre-snap alignment by getting this nickel defender to press up on George Kittle. And with it being so late in the 4th quarter, if the 49ers would have gotten this first down, they would have been able to milk the clock down and made it so much harder for Patrick Mahomes to drive the field and put him into overtime. The one thing that I don't get is why are so many teams using these condensed tight formations? In the first clip that we watched, the Texans are super tight together, and that allows for the defense to be able to disguise themselves better. I'm willing to bet everything that when the Chiefs made this check versus the Broncos, it was because the Broncos were in this tight formation, which allows for the corners to get to the quarterback faster. Like, he's not calling a corner blitz if the receivers are split out all the way wide out past the numbers. It's literally just too far for them to run. And when Josh Allen had an unblocked defender in his face on 4th and 5, it's because the receiver split was so close to the offensive line that the corner was able to disguise his blitz perfectly. But everyone keeps doing it, and I don't understand. Maybe you guys are seeing something that I'm not seeing, because I really don't get why you would ever have a tight formation versus this guy. Hey, but thank you guys for watching. If I make this shot, you gotta subscribe. You gotta subscribe. Hey, no, you gotta sub. You gotta sub. Push the red button, bro. Push that red button. Push that red button. All glory to the king, man. All glory to the king, man. Be easy.